Welcome back, guys. It is Dr. Tom here, Australian osteopath. Today we are looking at hip impingement, a very common one I see in my clinic, and there are 4 amazing exercises I want to show you guys today that may stop the pain, stop the pinch, inflection, and really help you get back into whatever sport or activities that you do. Okay guys, so as you can see here, this is our hip. This little ball and socket joint here. With hip impingement, you often hear of cam and pincer lesions. And these are little bony growths. So around the acetabulum here, or on the head or the neck of the femur. So either side, you can get bony growth. And when you go into flexion this way with the hip, that can create a pinch. And over time, we don't want too much of this pinching to occur because number one, it can cause inflammation, pain, sensitize all the nerves in the area, but number two, it can start to eat away at the joint capsule, otherwise known as the labrum, and then you can start to get labral fraying and eventually a labral tear. So extremely important today, guys, to make sure if you start to feel the pinch, which is normally hip impingement, that we really focus on doing exercises and postural modifications to really avoid this from getting any worse. So let's not waste any more time, guys. We'll get into it. And this is my 4 top exercises for you guys to do, which will help you with your hip impingement. Let's go. So number 1, we are going to do, you've probably seen this before, a psoas stretch. So we're gonna do a little modification here. The main focus with this exercise is to try and activate the glutes as we come through. So a lot of people will sink into this and keep their pelvis tilted forward, which when your pelvis is tilted forward, we know that that causes more impingement in the hip. So what we're gonna do here is hinge the hips, hands on the ground, come through, activate this glute, drive it down. So really try and posteriorize that pelvis. Hold here for 5 seconds, and after that 5 seconds, slowly hinge the hips again, all the way back. As we start to come forward from the very get-go, we want to tuck that glute under, push this hip to the wall we're facing, and really feel the opening through the front of the hip here. Once again, holding for 5 seconds, slowly back. We're going to do this for 7 reps, guys. So we shouldn't feel any pain with this. If you do feel pain, stop straight away. Tuck that glute, drive that hip to the wall we're facing, and then slowly come back after 5 seconds. And let's go 4 more. Tuck the glute. And slowly back. 3 more. Hips forward, tuck the glute. Last 2. So it is really important to note as well, guys, whatever we do on one side, even if the other side isn't problematic, we want to make sure we're doing the exercises on that side as well. All right, so that's 7 reps there. Make sure we complete on the other side. I'm gonna jump into the next exercise now, but always make sure we do on the other side. All right, guys, so exercise number 2 I want you to do is from a 90-90 position. Now, here, if we're upright, that's gonna be quite tricky. So the hip we're focusing on is gonna be the one that's behind. And to make this a little easier, because this might cause a lot of pinching in this position, we can start to lean away a little bit. So you can even drop onto your elbow if you have a lot of pinch through your hip. And what we're gonna try and do here is start to activate or start to get some internal rotation through the hip. So as you can see here, I'm gonna lift that leg up. If you struggle with your internal hip rotators, this might start to cramp off the get-go. Holding up for 5 seconds and then slowly dropping down. If you find it's pretty easy from this position here, you can push onto a straightened arm and do from this position. And if that's easy, you can come all the way up, which is it is quite hard and it may take you some time to get there. So we'll start on the elbow for today, guys. We're gonna go through, once again, 7 reps with this again at a 5-second hold. So nice and easy to remember. And then the main focus here, as we drop it, we want it nice and smooth and controlled. So slowly coming up, holding for 5 seconds. Really, you should feel a deep muscle here. We shouldn't feel too much pinch in the front of the hip. If you do, we might need to lean a little bit more, or this might not be the exercise for you. So ensure there's no pain. And we've got 4 more. Once again, we do on both sides, every exercise we do in here. Slowly down, and 3 more. With this one as well, we can focus on getting a little bit more mobility on each rep as long as there's no pain. So that increase in mobility is just lifting that leg or the foot a little bit higher each time. We've got 1 rep to go after this. Slowly down. You should feel this muscle starting to fatigue a little bit. And holding. And good, slowly down. All right, guys, so the next exercise, we are going into what we call frog legs. So we're going to go a little wider than shoulder width with the knees. Feet, as you can see, are out to the side here. If you've got any inside, so MCL injuries, make sure this doesn't cause too much pain. And what this exercise is designed to do is to open up the hip capsule a little bit, which if the femoral head sort of jammed up in there, it's going to really allow that femoral head to come out and hopefully give us a little bit more flexion without getting that pinching pain. So what we're going to do here, slowly bringing the hips all the way forward, and you should feel a crazy opening here. 5-second hold once again, and then slowly driving the hips back as far as you can. So as you can see, I actually need to work on my mobility here a little bit. But you're going to get to a point where as you come back, the stretch gets pretty strong. We always want to keep this comfortable. So you don't want to go into the pain zone. Good, we're going for 10 reps here. So it should be nice and relaxed. Really trying to, as you sink into this position here, breathing out, let everything sink down towards the ground. And as we come back, trying to keep this spine nice and so the ribs tucked, spine straight, hips as far back to the wall as possible, and then slowly coming forward, hips down towards the ground. Good, so that's for 4. And you'll actually notice if you've had pre-existing labral tears or anything in the hip, one hip's going to be a little tighter. So I've actually torn my labrum in the right side, and in this position here, it is a lot easier for me to achieve this on the left side. I definitely feel a lot more on the right, so maybe focus on yourself. You might have an area that's pulling a little bit more than the other. And as with previous videos, we know that the breath controls everything. So as you sink into that stretch phase, we're trying to use that exhale to let everything relax. And here we go, guys. The last 2. And by now we should be starting to improve that mobility just a little bit more. So a little further back, and those hips should be starting to come a little bit more open and down towards the ground. And we'll slowly come out from there. All right, guys, so for the last exercise, what we are doing here, we require a resistance band. So if you don't have one of these, they're cheap and really affordable. You can purchase them on Amazon. I'll leave a link below to get the one that you need for this. Depending on your size, you may need a heavier resistance band. So if you're a big, strong guy, you probably need something a little thicker than this, like the purple one here. And if not, everyone else should be able to get by with one of these. Number 1, make sure that we hook these on to something stable. I've had people that have hooked them onto tables that are not very heavy and ripped legs out and done really silly things. So make sure it is something stable. It's not going to come towards you, or it's not going to come loose halfway through the exercise. So as we come out here, what we want to do, I'm going to be facing, to start off with, whatever it's hooked onto, the fulcrum, and then from here, using my elbows, I want to come out as far as I can. Now, with my hands, I'm going to interlock them around my knee, and the band should be as high up in the groin as possible. Now, everyone is different. Some people find the band may be a little irritating, so I find getting a towel, wrapping a towel up and putting that on the inside of the band can actually take a little bit of that irritability away. So once we're in this position here, we're staying here. So for 2 or 3 minutes, what we're focusing on is using our breath to let everything around the hip relax. So long, steady breaths in through the nose. And as we breathe out, we're trying to focus on everything that holds onto this hip, every little tendon and muscle, getting it to release and relax, and then effectively getting that hip to traction out a little bit. So if you're laying there and you don't feel too much of a pull, you might need to wobble yourself just a little further out. If this feels pretty solid, stay in this position, use that breath. So it's going to be 2 minutes here. Really trying to let things release, and you'll notice by about 30 or 40 seconds most people normally start to feel a really nice feeling through the hip and feel things starting to release through that hip. If you're feeling a little bit of a pinch through the hip here with your knee in this much flexion, decrease the flexion to the point that you don't feel the pinch. Now after the 2 or 3 minutes, what we're going to do is slowly, so whatever side we've got the band on, we're going to rotate that way, but before we do, we want our hand out on the ground so we don't topple over. So we're going to rotate around so the band is pulling out and down on an angle, but make sure this hand stays here and one hand on the knee. So the same thing here, once we're in this position, the band should be pulling pretty hard. If it's really not that comfortable on the inside of the leg, you might want a towel. And if not, we're going to lay here, relax for 2 to 3 minutes, trying to let that hip traction out to the side. And when you go and get treatment, this is one of the things that us as practitioners really like to do, is create space in the hip. So there's a bunch of traction techniques we use on the table, but this is a great one that you guys can do at home, which can really help decrease the amount of impingement and improve complete hip mobility. So 2 to 3 minutes here, focusing on that breath. All right, and after that 2 to 3 minutes, guys, slowly coming around, facing, coming up from there, holding the band, making sure we don't let it flick in too fast. Okay guys, so along with these exercises, there's a few other things that can really help you here. One of them being hip posture. So if you're someone that when you're standing, tilts forward with your hips, so you'll notice that the bony part on the front and the bony part on the back is not level and you're tilting forward, this will often cause hip impingement by itself. So what we want to do here is stretch the quads a little more often and activate the glutes. So if you're someone that goes to the gym and you're feeling this pinching and the hip impingement on squats, it may be that you need to activate the glutes or strengthen the glutes a little bit more, so you're utilizing glutes through that squat motion and bringing the hips back to neutral, where then we go down and do that squat with the front of the hip being a little bit more open. So one really good thing, if you're standing around during the day, try and pick yourself out. If you're tilting forward, bring it back, open up the front of the hip, use these glutes, not the quads. And you'll notice that your back pain, if you experience any back pain, that'll actually help that as well. And remember guys, consistency is the main thing here. So even if you aren't completing all the reps, we want to be completing this just every day. So even if it's 2 or 3 minutes a day, it's going to make the biggest difference than doing one session a week where it may be 40 minutes. So make sure you keep these exercises up, add it to your daily list, make sure you find a little gap in the day that works for you, and you keep to that every single day. Thanks for joining us again, guys, and we'll see you again soon.